don't know. I think it brings up in an interesting like topic of culture as well, and queer culture, and how that defines or doesn't define us. And I think about losing my train of thought. I'll be back.
Last night we were walking in the store and we had spent the day at Portland Pride, and it was kind of a different experience. It's the second Pride that I've been to since I transitioned, but last time I went I was like weeks into surgery and a couple of months on testosterone, and so my life hadn't really changed all that much. But I felt disconnected from the experience and from the community, and this year it was even more intensified, my disconnection from the community, which is a sad thing for me, and something in all reality I'm going to have to come to terms with eventually. But thinking about how, for me, and I think for you too, that in the acquiring of privilege, of heterosexual privilege, being able to hold hands, being able to be acknowledged and validated as a couple and not really questioned. And I mean, everywhere we go, people ask if she's my wife, or if nothing else, it's definitely assumed and understood that we are boyfriend and girlfriend. And that's not something that I think I experienced overwhelmingly as a lesbian. People didn't assume that was my girlfriend. And there's a certain amount of invisibility. And you have to be thoughtful and aware of where you're, if you're demonstrating affection, who's around, and there's safety concerns, and there's social concerns, and there's all this different stuff. So in the acquirement of privilege of not having to think about that stuff, I became aware yesterday of what I gave up to get that. And what I gave up is there's something to be said, there's strength and there's community when you are part of a marginalized, segregated sexual minority type of group, that when you get together at Pride and people are demonstrating love and affection for each other, and you're a male-female paired couple in Pride, all of a sudden that heterosexual privilege, it doesn't have much weight at Gay Pride. It doesn't have any currency, it holds no value whatsoever. Having said that, what I understand is that Gay Pride happens, 1 weekend out of a year. And so you're talking about 363 days out of the year that having heterosexual privilege is, I think it serves us, and I think we're aware of it, and I don't think we engage in it in negligent sorts of ways. Right. But those 2 days that we don't have the privilege, or I don't even know if it's privilege, the sense of community that we used to have, that I used to have anyways. It's interesting how sometimes that 2 days versus 363 days sometimes doesn't seem as even. No, it's not even even. I don't know. As privileged as it may sound or may seem when you're talking about 2 days versus 363 days. You know what I mean? So it was just something that I was aware of.
Which I think ties into the whole queer culture thing that I just finally got back. Just that being in that and being a part of that, and so I think that part of like really expressing your queer identities or wanting to, and maybe for me like struggling with how to do that, like how to label myself without a label, because anyway, that's the key thing that I think both of us miss, is community and culture, and it's that being queer is supposed to allow us into that space, LGBTQ, like that cues for us. And so, but if you're not seen as that, and if you're not, especially together, because I think it's more together than separate, if you're not seen as that, then you're not necessarily embraced in the same way that you would be. Mm-hmm. Like, I think if we separately went to Gay Pride,
be fine.
Totally. But it's the together thing that kind of clears community away.
Right.
And I think that's another facet of queer identity, is that, like I get to express myself in a different type of culture. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another like part of why I identify as queer.
I think that being who we are just as human beings, and the way that we think about things and look at things and our experiences, combined as a couple that is, we fully examine gender all the time on all different levels with all sorts of things. We do it with our dogs, we do it with humans, we do it with ourselves, and our families. I think of your mom saying something about, you know, she's going to be terrified to talk to our children because she's going to like gender her language. And but
which is so amazing about my mom.
Right. But in that is that as we penetrate and navigate in these privileged sort of spaces, and we talk openly about who we are and our experiences and our lives as being a queer couple that is made up of a queer identified woman, a cis woman, and a queer identified trans man, we're talking and interacting with people who are like, wait, what is cisgender, what is queer, what is trans man, what do these things mean? And in that we get to be actual agents of change and be part of something that I think that overtly identified queer people have a harder time getting into. You know what I mean? So
yeah, fascinating.
Wow.
Right? I just got that.
I just
kind of
thought of that. I was like, that was actually my thought.
That was?
Yeah. But to look at it, you know, so everything that, for me, there's always a flip side to anything and everything. So if I'm like, that sucks, the flip side of that exact same experience is like, wow, that's an opportunity. And to make sure that I stay really connected to the balance and not just be like, man, that sucks. And also if something's an amazing opportunity, to not forget to allow myself to be like, that's an amazing opportunity and there's parts of that suck. You know, like to be able to embrace the whole thing. So we're probably close to time. Is there anything